These are the tools required to remove the parts necessary to install the front brush bar on the 2015 Polaris Sportsman 570. I've got a 3/8 drive ratchet with a short extension and a shallow 1/2 inch drive socket. 1/4 inch ratchet setup, small extension, 3/8 socket for the 1/4 inch drive setup. You're going to need a pair of small needle nose pliers. I'm sure a full size set of pliers would work too. It's just a lot more easy to negotiate with these. And then the 1/2 inch drive wrench so that you can hold the nuts when you're tightening and loosening. And then the Torx bit you'll need to remove a few bolts is a T27. To start off, there's 2 retaining straps that hold the front cover on. You're going to want to take those off. Alright, after you get both your cables undone, this side does have a washer, this side doesn't. It's retained by this clip that holds this. I'm assuming that's for the winch. These are the next part, these little plastic pins that retain this lid. If you can see on the one end, they're split. I've got a small pair of needle nose pliers, just push them together and kind of give it a push. Well, it should slide out. Mine are a little tight. Just give it another little pinch and shove, and that pins out. That's what it looks like when it's done. You can see the crimped in there, kind of. You just kind of squeeze it. There are 2, so you'll have to take one out of each side. Next up is your hinge plate here, where the pins you just took out came through. You're going to remove those, and it is a T27 Torx head to remove them. Break those loose, and there's actually 2 more that you have to take out. They're down here in the plastic cover inside these holes. I'm gonna have to get an extension, I think. Alright, this is the next piece you're gonna use. As you can see, it's got the slope part going downward. You want that downward. It can bolt on this way. You don't want it up, you want it down. That's the only way it'll fit. This is the original retaining bracket that held the cover for the front. What you're going to do is you're going to set this down, make sure this is angled down, you're going to set this right over top of it, and you're going to use your new hardware to put your 2 screws in. These do have an adjustment in them, both of them, so what you're going to do is just start them the first couple threads, because I'm sure we're going to need to make adjustment to make the brush bar sit center. Like that. So we got movement this way, we got movement this way. Okay, so instead of trying to fight the bracket being loose on top of the quad to stick these pins back in to hook it back up, I'm going to take the bracket off and slide these pins in while it's in my lap, or at least attempt to. Now we're just putting the retaining straps for the lid back on. Can be a little difficult. Definitely makes your life easier to have one extra person standing there to kind of help hold the lid up, so that you can get your bolts started. But once they're started, they should be gravy. Remember, you only have 1 washer on this side. The other side, make sure you tied it back down your electrical plug-in. Alright, the next piece that you're going to need is this bracket. This is what's going to go in the place of the 2 bolts you took out of the front plastic bumper assembly. This part, this flat part, is going to go against that area. The hardware you're going to need are the 2 plastic plugs, spacer plugs, and then the 2 longer bolts. And you're going to set it up like this. This is going to go on the back. Too much stuff in my hands here. And this is going to come through your spacer. So that's how it's going to look on both ends. And you want this part out, away from the 4-wheeler. Alright, for the final step, you're going to set your brush bar up into the mounts you've got set. There are 2 short bolts with nuts, you're going to use those, and there's 2 short bolts without nuts. You're going to use those for the bottom half. The brush guard itself actually slides underneath this mount, the lower mount, and then slides over top your upper mount. And then you're just going to take your 1/2 inch drive setup. Me personally, I want it as close to the quad as I can get it, so I'm going to lean in on it a little bit and tighten it down. And these sizes on these bolts are 1/2 inch. The nut and the bolt head is 1/2 inch.